Table number 1 starts with turquoise. I've got a couple triple strands of a composite, some square ones, some Nepal bracelets. So I'm just going to say frame 1 is some of this. And then I have these fabulous turquoise. The pendants actually come off them. You can wear the turquoise by itself and the pendants on silver. And then they can be worn all together. A wrap bracelet, turquoise and white topaz and crystals. Here is a bunch of turquoise and check glass combination. And I'm just going to go down here and a long turquoise slab. And then in frame number 2 is blue opals or Peruvian opals and chalcedony. And then here's some of the crystal necklaces, the crystal wraps. And just going to scan over certain things. We're still on table 1. I love that one turquoise piece with a square amazonite. And then frame 3 has some vintage fun stuff, opals, check glass, some stretch bracelets. I love those. Turquoise chain with chalcedony at the bottom. There's a bunch of gold quartzes on the smaller chains. And then this is really fun. This is chalcedony, aqua quartz, and an aqua quartz gold necklace. So that's table 1. Here is table 2, more of the same colors. Here's the green glass, aquamarine with a glass scallop shell. Here's the quartzes and turquoise and silver. Here's a fun crystal necklace. Here is the aqua quartz in a gunmetal finish. Here's a gorgeous green. I think it's actually an aquamarine. More blue opal, vintage, check glass. Chrysoprase. So I'm just going to scan over some of these. Here are the blue topaz and white topaz long crosses made in Turkey with sterling. Some aquamarines. And then this tray, frame number 2 is the periwinkle glass, a slab of amethyst, which is fun. And I have some more glass, a really fun vintage piece. It's the only vintage brooch piece I have this summer. Oh, no, actually I've got a couple others, but that's the only blue one. Kyanite, a long glass piece. Here are the owls, some fun fish, stretch bracelets. Behind them, I love, this is chalcedony druzy. These pendants actually come off also, and they have pearl necklaces that you can be worn separately. And then here's a long chandelier piece, some more purples. And then the Larimar. I've got a variety of Larimar. This piece actually comes off, and you can wear the pearl necklace separately. I think you have that one already. Here is amethyst. You've got one of the long ones, I believe. And then here are these great bracelets that I love. I've got a bunch of those. Those are all with white topaz. And then table number 3, the sun's coming in, so hopefully you can see. Here's the pink table with the pink glass. And then this is fun. It's a, it looks vintage, but it's not. It's a resin, which is fun. And then here are the different druzes and aquamarines I have in those coloring. Aquamarines, a great Nepal bracelet. Only have a couple left. They're very popular. My starfish necklaces. And then these are rubies, pink quartz, and rose quartz. And then another, these actually have vintage pearls on them, and that's a resin flower. And here's another one with a resin flower and the vintage pearls. Here is pink tourmaline on sterling pendant on pearls, along rose quartz. Frame 2 is different types of abalone, and I've got more of these here. I didn't put everything out, but I've got the abalone here. Vintage cuff bracelets, mother of pearl, a large pink Chanel. I only have a couple of those left, and that's it for those. And here's a fun combination of a pale yellow and mother of pearl. The cubic zirconia line, the emerald and cubic zirconia. cups. And then a bunch of labradorite, and I mixed it with a lot of chalcedony. I like that combination. And then here are my vintage cuffs, very adjustable. These are great on gunmetal. The first four are gunmetal, and these are on gold. And then here's some pretty vintage gold buttons with a Chanel chain. This is moss aquamarine with an aqua quartz at the bottom. Looks great. Aquamarine with a glass shell, and then another moss aquamarine. Okay, let me know if anything looks interesting.